He has endurance.
Yes, he does. Do whatever you...
Anybody home? Shalana the Woods Temptress? With Horny the Bear, Smokey's cousin?
The Great Outdoors is a 1988 comedy film written by John Hughes and directed by Howard Deutsch that would be remembered as an American summertime film classic. Chicago, Illinois resident Chet Ripley, played by John Candy, and his wife Connie, played by Stephanie Faracy, take their oldest son Buck, played by Chris Young, and younger son Ben, played by Ian Giotti, to a rented lakefront cabin in the woods of Wisconsin for a week-long summer vacation. Chet and Connie had cabined in that area during their honeymoon years before, and Chet hopes to have bonding time with his sons.
Well, is this a real Northwoods Lodge or what?
Great.
Yeah. Check out the shotgun lamp. Isn't that something? Huh? You don't see that every day.
Hey.
Hello? Hello, anybody home?
Looks the same, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Oh, smells the same, too.
It does. Hello? I wonder if they have a lot of
What's
chickens
this?
now.
What's this over here? For prompt service, blow me. It's an interesting touch.
It's charming.
Much to Chet's disappointment, his brother-in-law, Roman Craig, played by Dan Aykroyd, accompanied by his wife and Connie's sister Kate, played by Annette Bening, arrive at the cabin uninvited, alongside their quiet twin red-headed daughters Kara and Mara, played by Hillary and Rebecca Gordon.
What a gas. Chet's gonna shit a solid gold brick. What a great surprise.
Kate questions whether or not this is a good idea.
This is very unfair, Roman.
What the hell are you talking about? We're a family, for crying out loud. How many times have we invited Chet and Connie to the islands with us? A dozen?
This is a little different. We weren't invited.
They'll be tickled to death to see us.
Roman flaunts his wealth, cooking expensive lobster tails instead of Chet's hot dogs and bragging about financial investments.
Hey, how are those tails?
What? Who's saying something about my tails are killers at $28 a pound?
28. Oh, my God. You know, Chet and I haven't had lobster in an age. Not since our anniversary, anyway. Oh, my God. They're so expensive.
Save that one.
Okay.
That'll be for me.
I'll make sure of that.
How about the gourmet here? You know what he wanted? Hot dogs.
Okay.
You know what they make those things out of, huh, Chet? You know? Lips and assholes.
I guess I'm old-fashioned. I like assholes.
And I like lips. If I could market lips like those, I'd make another million.
After dinner, Chet tells the family a story about when he and Connie cabined during their honeymoon and he came face to face with a giant killer bear.
This bear was over 8 feet high with big white teeth, fangs, stained pink from whatever it killed before it got to our cabin. It was frightening.
Chet claims to have used a shotgun to protect himself and that the buckshot shaved off the top of the bear's head.
Well, I hear from my uncle every now and then. And he'd tell us about the bald-headed killer bear that was roaming about the area. The bald-headed killer bear of Clare County.
The story stresses out the family, causing Chet to explain the tradition of telling the story to young Ben.
Look, it's a story my dad told me, and I'm sure his dad told him, and I'm telling you.
Roman decides to do the same and comfort his girls.
I know that a terrifying story like that coming from the mouth of a recognized authority figure could be traumatizing for kids like yourselves. I know that because I had a similar experience with my Uncle Roy in a story he used to tell. About a family that went into the woods and was attacked by a band of escaped Army psychiatric patients who'd been subjected to violent, hellish, torturous behavior modification experiments. Seems they escaped from the metal boxes the Army kept them in, found this family in the woods, fell upon them, slaughtered them, and ate them. Oh, now that story, it gave me nightmares, not to be believed, so I don't want Uncle Chet's bear story to upset you in the same way.
As the vacation continues, more antics send Chet to the breaking point, including when Roman rents a speedboat and pulls Chet around the lake on jet skis. Kate admits to Connie that she often finds herself lonely despite the wealth that she and Roman share.
He works terrible hours, travels. There'll be times we'll go a month without going to bed together.
Really, a month? That long?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I think the only way I'll get any pleasure is by leaning against the washer during the spin cycle.
Does that really work?
Have you ever seen Whiter Whites?
In the meantime, Buck begins a short romance with a local girl in town named Cammie, played by Lucy Deakins. Cammie gets aggravated as nearly every guy she ever meets winds up being a tourist.
I've never had a boyfriend for longer than 2 weeks.
Get out of here.
That's why I was such a bitch to you that first night.
No, you aren't a big
Yes,
bitch. No.
yes, I was.
No big deal. Don't worry about it.
The fun and chaos continues for the family, with everything from horseback riding and mini golf.
I'm okay.
Did that horse buck you off?
What happened? You got hungry and had to eat the nag, huh?
To bats and leeches and dead bodies.
What old man wouldn't like a little girl kissing him on that cheek?
A dead one. Huh? Bill died in a car on the way over here.
Jesus, Dad!
Tensions eventually reach a boiling point, and the family's anger bubbles to the surface.
Especially since we threw aside our plans, and we had a great European vacation plan. Threw aside our plans to come up here to show these deadasses how to start to learn to have a good time. Thanks for ruining my vacation, Ripley.
What was that? Ruining your vacation? Is that what you said? Oh, come on. I don't believe I heard you say that.
You'd better believe it.
Don't push it, Roman.
You ain't even seen pushing yet.
Roman, why don't we just get out of here? Come on, honey. Come on, girls, let's go.
Good idea. Well, it's the first good idea you've had since you've been here. And by the way, don't steal any of our stuff.
What stuff is there to steal?
We got stuff.
You're a louse.
Oh, well, go find yourself a spin cycle.
Yeah, go find yourself a spin cycle. The hell is that supposed to mean?
Never mind, honey.
All right, calm down.
This was the third and final film that was written by prolific 1980s film writer John Hughes, but directed by Howard Deutsch. The three movies were Pretty in Pink, 1986, Some Kind of Wonderful, 1987, and The Great Outdoors, 1988. John Hughes' first choice for the role of Roman was Chevy Chase, as he had written and produced National Lampoon's Vacation in 1983 and wanted to reunite Chevy Chase and John Candy. Chevy Chase had already committed to doing the film Funny Farm and was unavailable. Hughes briefly considered Bill Murray, but John Candy suggested Dan Aykroyd, whom he was a close friend of, and since John Hughes had never worked with Dan Aykroyd up to that point. John Hughes had intended to direct the movie himself, but scheduling conflicts did not allow it. The film was shot under the working title Big Country, but was changed to avoid confusion with the Tom Hanks movie Big, which was due to come out at the same time. The film was shot on location in Bass Lake, California, a small resort town near Sierra National Forest. The movie was filmed during October and November of 1987. The Loon's Nest vacation cabin was built on the back lot at Universal Studios, but it was designed to match the style of the cabins in Bass Lake. The lakeside restaurant used in the movie was called Ducey's Bar and Grill, which burned to the ground shortly after filming due to a gas fire. It was rebuilt, and the new restaurant had posters and memorabilia from the movie hanging on the walls as a reminder of the old restaurant. Several times throughout the movie, characters are seen drinking Point beer. Point is an actual beer made in Stevens Point in central Wisconsin and is very popular throughout the central and northern areas of Wisconsin where the film takes place.
What?
It touched me.
It's been touching you for 12 years. You never freaked.
Not you.
What?
That thing.
This movie was the feature film debut of actress Annette Bening. One character that really stands out is actress Lucy Deakins in the role of local girl Cammie.
What time do you finish work here?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. And where are you going to be after work at 8 o'clock?
I'll be around.
Can I see you?
Yeah, if you can find me.
She would only star in a handful of films before deciding to become an attorney. Right before John Candy's character Chet Ripley orders the old 96er steak, his wife is seen ordering the Royal Canadian Mounted Beef Barley Soup.
All right, I'll have the Royal Canadian Mounted Beef Barley Soup.
In the 1987 John Hughes written and directed film Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, John Candy's character Del Griffith is seen reading an adult-themed book titled The Canadian Mounted. Once everyone arrives back at the cabin after Chet completes the old 96er challenge, only to find that raccoons got inside the cabin and threw garbage everywhere, Chet runs off screen to vomit and everyone runs after him. The camera pulls back too far and you can see actor Dan Aykroyd counting down with his fingers to cue the rest of the actors to run back into frame. In this movie, John Candy's character has a son named Buck. 1 year later, in 1989, John Candy himself would portray a character named Buck in another John Hughes written film, Uncle Buck. In one of the early drafts of the script, Roman finds an old gold coin treasure at the bottom of the old mine while rescuing his twin daughters, so all his money problems are gone. This would result in Roman buying the cabin, sharing some of the treasure with Chet, and promising each other that they would vacation at the lake together every summer, in which Chet would be making no-way faces behind Roman's back. For unknown reasons, this ending was altered. The scene at the end of the movie during the credits where everybody's at the bar dancing to Wilson Pickett's Land of a Thousand Dances had no instructions in the script, and everyone was just encouraged to have a good time. Much of the music listed in the credits was performed by the Elwood Blues Revue. Wilson Pickett and the Elwood Blues Revue covered the song Land of a Thousand Dances for the soundtrack to this movie. The Elwood Blues Revue, of course, is based on a character from Dan Aykroyd's 1980 hit film The Blues Brothers, also starring John Candy, but directed by John Landis, not to be confused with John Hughes. Upon its release into theaters in June 1988, The Great Outdoors grossed a total of $43.5 million on a budget of $24 million, making it a box office hit.
Aykroyd has a couple of throwaway lines that are funny, but that's it for what is a very, very weak film.
I was shocked. You would think that with the names Aykroyd and Candy connected to a movie, you would have something funny, even if you only just shot a documentary of the two of them sitting around during their lunch break.
That's my standard line.
They threw away that stuff and just used whatever they had left. Now, this movie was written and produced by John Hughes, who also made Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is about another odd couple, Candy and Steve Martin, who go through a lot of adventures. It's almost as if he put all of his good stuff in that movie and then took all of the outtakes and put them in this movie, outtakes of his script, because this movie is lame and dumb and slow and no good.
While this movie was heavily panned by critics, once it hit the home video and television market by the early 1990s, it garnered a huge following and has since become a cult favorite and one of the most popular summer vacation movies. There are several deleted scenes that only show up in some occasional television broadcasts. These include Chet having trouble maneuvering the speedboat hitched to the back of his vehicle, which leads to a conversation with a police officer played by Troy Evans.
If you don't mind, I have been driving for a few years. I think I can handle this situation.
You haven't been hauling speedboats a few years, Chet.
Do you mind, Roman? Do you mind?
Listen, in those few years, you didn't happen to pick up a Wisconsin state driver's license, did you?
Why would I need one? I live in Illinois.
Oh, you're from Illinois. What a surprise.
Another scene shows Annette Bening's character Kate telling the twin girls Kara and Mara to swim in the lake, at which time a giant muskie sticks its head out of the water, scaring them.
Hey, come on, you fraidy cats, you can swim. Okay, never mind, you don't have to go in.
They tend to overreact.
These scenes are not in the theatrical version or any VHS or DVD releases, but I do remember seeing them on television broadcasts of the movie back in the 1990s. The scene where Roman's twin daughters got stuck out in the pouring rain was going to have Roman take on a giant killer fish to save them. However, the mechanical fish built for the scene was having problems working, and they scrapped it out entirely. The television scene of the giant muskie was likely filmed as a foreshadowing of that planned scene, which was never filmed.
Big Bear, chase! Big Bear, chase!
What is he saying?
What? Big Bear, chase me!
The bald-headed killer bear was played by Bart the Bear, a Kodiak bear who appeared in a number of movies, including Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey, On Deadly Ground, and Legends of the Fall. Bart stood 9 feet 7 inches tall and weighed 1,500 pounds. In 1998, Bart made an appearance at the 70th Academy Awards as a part of a salute to animal actors. He presented an envelope to Mike Myers on stage. Bart the Bear would die in May of 2000 at the age of 23. He was euthanized after getting cancer of the paw. I first saw this film when I was about 6 years old. I taped it off TV. And even though this movie might normally get a solid 8-star rating, I have to give it a 10-star rating just because I know it by heart. I've seen it so many times in the decades that passed since the early 1990s, and it's a classic. It never gets old. I highly recommend the 1988 comedy film, The Great Outdoors.